Hello everybody. Melf back here with Mara once again to continue Hjalti's adventures.
Hello everybody.
And where we last left off, Hjalti had just exited Bleak Falls Barrow. He'd had a snack, but he's still rather hungry, very tired, it's 4 in the morning, and confused as to what part of the mountain he's on now. The answer is he's on the south side of the mountain, which is bad because he wants to be on the east side, where there are warm beds waiting in Riverwood. So first he had to scale down this cliff and... wait a second. Isn't there usually a... there we go. Free potion. Almost forgot about that.
Oh, I've never noticed that one before.
I also left behind one secret treasure chest in Bleak Falls Barrow that just wasn't really worth bothering with, but I do try to get most of the hidden treasure chests. So out of character at this point, I'd like to take a brief detour south, or southwest, so I can replace my Mage Stone with the Lady Standing Stone there. The Lady Stone is pretty bad, but all characters can use it. In character, though, I can't justify taking a detour out in the middle of a freezing lake to find a stone that I don't know is there, so I won't be doing that. Instead, I'll just head east toward Riverwood.
Not a fan of early morning swims.
Got a beautiful Aurora Borealis up there. Don't know how that's explained in lore in this game. On the southern side of Bleak Falls Barrow. And a creepy cabin in the woods.
Those are always fun.
Hjalti's a little too tired to immediately register how strange it is that she's out here at 4 in the morning.
I'm just a poor old woman, dear. No need to trouble yourself with me.
That's reassuring. Unfortunately, can't sleep in her bed, as I knew. So he's going out and... she keeps deadly alchemy ingredients on her shelf. I'll just be moving along now. Keeping an eye on you. Yes. I'll find somewhere else to sleep. So coming up here is a random encounter spot. Don't know what I'll find this time, if anything. There's somebody. Oh, this is Bard again. Very common. That's kind of lame. I was hoping it would be a combat encounter who could then lure back to her, thereby revealing she's secretly a witch and I can kill her, but not going to happen this time. So she gets to live.
And your character was planning on potentially luring a combat situation to a poor old woman? Goodness.
So, need to get back across the river to Riverwood. But, like heck, I'm swimming across this river in the middle of the night. Stepping stone time. I'm going to take off my shoes so they don't get wet. This is one of my favorite parts of actual hiking. Oh dear. Right, that is not one of my favorite parts of actual hiking. So, now besides being tired, he's also sodden and miserable and humiliated. I happen to know out of character you cannot make that final jump anyway, so it was inevitable I would fall into the water, but could have made a couple stones more. But here we are back at Riverwood. So let me just go to the inn, find a room, get out of these wet clothes, and get some sleep. I will sleep as heavily as a giant.
Come on in. Just stoke the fire. Take a seat and get the cold out. We got rooms and
So he does the generic innkeeper line about rooms and food then, but they don't actually have rooms right now. They should have changed that part of his dialogue.
Out. She owns the place. She does what she wants. Inn's closed. Bar's still open, though. Feel free to sit and put your head down on the table for as long as you like. I won't bother you.
Well, that sounds deeply unpleasant.
Right,
Luckily, Hjalti has remembered that he has a friend in town, Gerder. That's Raylof's sister, who offered to let him stay at her place as long as he liked. Perhaps that offer is still good a day later. Time to put these shoes back on before I walk through their yard, which has cows in it. Dogs, I don't think, sleep. Neither do cows or chickens. Well, here we are. Now, there are 2 beds in this house. One belongs to their son, Frodnar. The other one belongs to Hod and Gerder. And that's the bed you're supposed to sleep in. And sometimes they'll just lie down right on top of you. It's kind of weird. Nobody questions it, though. And Hjalti's a little too tired to care. So again, resting is not necessary, but it is good role-playing, and it gives me a small bonus to my skills that don't, or skill growth rate, which I don't really want, but whatever. Alright, so, very hungry at this point. Luckily there's some food in this house. And luckily they like me so I can take their stuff, as long as it isn't too valuable. Other than that, coin purse to demonstrate that, I won't just be taking their spare change, because that's kind of weird even if people do like you. But some other valuables that could be useful to me I will certainly take, such as food items, cheese, more food items, wine.
Eating them out of house and home.
Ooh, I wish I could take this one, but it's too valuable. I will be taking this one.
Oh dear. Are you sure you aren't playing a Khajiit?
So that's the thing about Khajiit. I've talked about... Oh, excellent, meat. I've said that Khajiit are terrible, but one good reason for that is basically their main skill is stealth, which is so easy to raise. Like, any character can kind of do just as well as them with their own specialty. Even Argonians at least have like bonuses to things like lockpicking that are higher, which is at least a hard to raise skill. Just going to take all the food off the table now. They said, take whatever I needed, so I just needed that amulet to Bella. It's perfectly reasonable. How could I know that it was important to them? There we go. Alright, well, better fed now. Could use some real meat instead of just seared slaughter fish. Why are you looking at me like that? You don't know what I did. So the reason I wanted this amulet to Bella is that while you wear it, it grants you bonuses to your speech skill, which is not terribly useful, except that it gives you slightly better prices. There is an amulet that is simply better for that purpose, but this is a good start. So I'll equip that till I can get better. Hjalti wants to see if he can get a good price from Alvor for this golden claw. If not, he'll return it to its rightful owner. For money, of course.
Take a look.
Now, out of character, of course, I know he won't buy it. He's a blacksmith. Blacksmiths only buy and sell weapons, armor, and smithing supplies, and also lockpicks for no good reason. So sell off all that junk. This junk. Carry your arrows anymore because he'll soon have a way to not ever use them. And he doesn't have any lockpicks. Oh well.
Aye.
So, now to the Riverwood trader where I'll turn in that golden claw for hopefully some kind of reward. After all the trouble I went through. I won't mention that I got, an ancient Nord power out of it, whatever it is, I haven't figured out yet.
The sooner you find the claw, the sooner our lives can get... You found it! There it is! Strange. It seems smaller than I remember. Funny thing, huh?
That better not be an excuse for giving me less of a reward.
Back where it belongs. I'll never forget this. You've done a great thing for me and my sister.
So he now likes me, meaning I can now take his stuff.
It means so much to us to have the claw back where it belongs. Huh?
The amount that means to them is somewhat less than 60 gold. I can take these potions, but not those potions, which is sad because I would like them. Oh, great. Idar cheese wheels. I can have major uses for those later on.
Thank you so much for taking care of those.
No, they don't mind you taking more than like 60 gold worth of stuff. Just like not one item that's worth 60 gold. It's a little bit silly, but whatever. So, now that I'm well provisioned, let me sell off my other stuff for this guy.
We're the only people around. I think I have a few old spell books laying about. If you want more, you'll have to go to the College of Winterhold.
I was hoping to get some gossip about the college from him. No such luck. So, like all general goods merchants, he sells a few spell tomes, but like all general goods merchants, he has an inferior inventory of every individual category than the specialists do. I'll buy this. It's the basic destruction ice spell. Ice sucks overall, as I said, but I ought to have it handy just for the rare cases when it does turn out to be useful. Wards are never worthwhile. These things are a trap, don't buy them. Raised Zombie has its uses. They're not really as good as Atronax, but I will use them from time to time. So. It doesn't have an amulet of Talus, as I was hoping. I did not mean to buy that. Oh well. So, one rule that I didn't mention before is I will not be using summon staves. They take the challenge out of the game because, kind of like followers, they're basically like free tanks. Whereas summons cost me all my mana and so forth. So, don't ever need potions of stamina on a mage. I could use this. This one will be valuable later on in the game. Invisibility is always handy to have one of. This is only for archers. This is never valuable. These are great for warriors, but I'm not one, so I'll sell those. I can probably sell some of these healing potions. I do want to keep some around. Scrolls, too, the ones I found in the dungeon. Ingredients, I'm going to keep that. Sell off these. Books, why don't you have this journal about the guy who stole your claw. Jewelry. Jewelry is hard to offload except to this kind of vendor. As you can see, it's pretty expensive. So he's running out of gold now. He only has 31 left. So if I try to sell this one for 35, I'll come up 4 short. Might as well. It's not really that valuable. So, need to find somebody else to buy some of this other junk, but I'm mostly offloaded at this point. I do need 1 or 2 more things from the inn. Hopefully they have them in stock.
If you need anything, or take a seat. We got rooms and take a look.
Yes, they've got ale. Once in a while they don't have...
He looks weird with his eyes frozen shut like that.
So I'll buy some ale, and some real meat, and can never resist sweets. Hjalti's had like a lifelong sweet tooth. And you can see now has plenty of money after, his first adventure. Money for spare, change kinds of transactions is never wanting after your first venture. So now let me sell off all the stuff that I don't need, like the Alto wine, and the regular old wine, and this isn't actually useful to me. There we go.
Until next time.
So before I hit the road, let me make one more pit stop back by Hod and Girder's house, because unlike the inn, they have a cooking pot. Their house is locked during the day, but they gave you the key. So. Cooking time. Alright, so most cooking in this game is useless. Cooking soup is overpowered. I said I won't be doing that. But what it will make is elsewhere fondue. That's why I got the ale and the Idar cheese, and the moon sugar is the rare ingredient. It's worth almost nothing, but it's amazingly powerful. As you can see, it grants me plus 100 magicka and 25% magic regeneration for 12 minutes. Now, I only have 100 magicka, so at this level, level 1, it's doubling my magic pool plus giving me more regeneration. So, truly an amazing power-up. Of course, it's hard to get because moon sugar is very rare, but well worthwhile when I can have it. So, off I go to Whiterun.
It's time to bring this Dragonstone to Farengar. Hjalti would like to be able to tell the Jarl that he turned the quest around in a day or so.
Was in a hurry after all. On the way here, I think we'll find the corpses of these wolves that I burned the last time I was going through here. I've been by frequently enough that they haven't respawned, so... And I want to go by those corpses because I want to demonstrate the raise zombie spell. So let me learn that spell, and heck, I'll learn Frostbite while I'm at it. Equip that spell. It's Conjuration. It's unlike Necromancy and Oblivion, that was just like, you summon a zombie out of thin air. You have to actually find a corpse and then reanimate it. So here we go. So that wolf gets up, and it's just like a fully functional wolf. It has all its stats and attacks and whatnot. And if you reanimate like a mage, they can use magic. They just have all the capabilities of the living creature. And like a weird black fog around them. Now, they're pretty useless most of the time, and wolves certainly are. But I'm doing this to demonstrate one of the side benefits of raising zombies. Well, as I get around 2 or so bends from now, I will probably find another random encounter. We'll see if it's somebody more dangerous than Talisgar the Wanderer. I want to keep some of my stamina around for sprinting in case it is somebody more dangerous. Aha! So I mentioned before you should always have hunting brew meat around. This is why.
Need something?
Hail, friend. It's good to see another merry soul enjoying this fine day.
Didn't seem to mind my zombie wolf.
Come, share a bottle of hunting brew mead with me.
So if you have a drink of it already, you can say this.
Eastmere's beard, you're one after my own heart. I would love another bottle. This good deed should not go unrewarded. Here, take this. Cheers, my friend.
And they give you a fairly valuable necklace. So first of all, it's worth, in money, way more than a simple, bottle of hunting brew mead, but also just is very valuable. Carrying capacity bonuses are pretty useful from time to time. So I'm going to cut across country here because I don't want to take that long switch back, and because in character I can see the sun is setting, and the Jarl will probably go to sleep at some point, and I certainly don't want to be waking him up in the middle of the night. That could, detract from his good mood when he hears that I've gotten through Bleak Falls Barrow and accomplished what he sent me to do. Farmers don't mind you trampling their crops, or like summoning fire demons in the middle of their crops, or even picking their entire crop and then just walking off with it in your pockets. it's intended, I think, that you'll pick their crop and then sell it back to them at like actually a pretty good rate, so it can make you some early game money. But they just don't seem to mind if you just take it and leave and let them starve to death.
Well, it's like a lot of customer service policies in retail shops. You can't confront people when they're stealing. Same concept.
If only everybody in Skyrim thought that way.
That would be very nice. Especially for my Khajiit player.
Look at me, guards. I'm hurrying so fast to do the Jarl's bidding. It's never really explained why these walls are in such disrepair. It might just be they were loud and you run down, nobody fixed them up. Might have been there was a battle here at some point. The Jarl certainly does remark that he should have fixed them up later on. But we'll get to that part of the plot. So off we go through the streets. Stars are coming out. Nice cloudy night. The market's pretty empty because it's too late in the day at this point. That hall up there is Jorvaskr, the Hall of the Companions. Pretty worthless because the companions are pretty worthless. They're the Warriors Guild equivalent for this game, but for warriors they're complete garbage. The only good thing you get from their quests is basically in their first one as a weapon to be used against you, but it's better than anything that they'll actually give you. In fact, for no good reason, the Thieves Guild has all the best weapons and armor, pretty much, or best weapons anyway. Well, no Irileth here to threaten me for running in. Oh, he's talking to somebody.
The terminology is clearly
He's talking to somebody interesting. Let me just wait and maybe eavesdrop a little bit.
Just after the Dragon War.
Dragon War. Certainly heard of that.
Reference the names with other later texts.
Good. I'm glad you're making progress. My employers are anxious to have some tangible answers.
Oh, have no fear. The Jarl himself has finally taken an interest, so I'm now able to devote most of my time to this research.
Time is running, Farengar, don't forget. This isn't some theoretical question. Dragons have come back.
Yes, don't worry. Although the chance...
Made some noise there. Might as well just stroll in.
Now, let me show you something else I found.
We have a visitor.
Very intriguing. I think your
Who's
employers
this?
may be interested as well. Ah, yes, the Jarl's protege. Back from Bleak Falls Barrow. You didn't die, it seems.
Of course not.
Ah, the Dragon Stone of Bleak Falls Barrow. Seems you are a cut above the usual brutes the Jarl sends my way.
It's not really Hjalti's way to directly ask about a reward. He'd rather get it more subtly and not lose face.
That is where your job ends and mine begins. The work of the mind. Sadly undervalued.
Farengar never misses an opportunity to insult you, directly or indirectly.
I will be pleased to see your handiwork. She discovered its location by means she has so far declined to share with me.
Intriguing.
Her information was correct after all.
After all, you said it was reliable.
You went into Bleak Falls Barrow and got that? Nice work.
Why, thank you. All is
Send me
forgiven.
a copy when you've deciphered it.
Farengar, you need to come
Mind your own business.
No, you are my business. You're the innkeeper. You're why I couldn't sleep in the inn last night.
A dragon. How
Oh, that is more interesting.
Where was it seen? What was it doing?
I'd take this a bit more seriously if I were you. If a dragon decides to attack Whiterun, I don't know if we can stop it. Let's go.
So up we go. Here's another semi-cinematic, which could have been done a good deal better.
Irileth tells me you came from the Western Watchtower?
Yes, my lord.
So one of the problems with this game is it never really treats guards like other NPCs. They're all just like faceless, nameless, generic soldiers rather than characters. Like this guy should probably have like his helmet off and a name. And while his voice acted well enough, he isn't animated to act like he should be. He's not acting tired. He's not panting or bowing to the or anything like that. So they're lazy about that side of
We'll
things.
take it from here. Head down to the barracks for some food and rest. You've earned it. Irileth, you'd better gather some guardsmen and get down there.
I've already ordered my men to muster in the main.
Unlike Preventus, Irileth is very competent.
Don't fail me. There's no time to stand on ceremony, my friend.
Friend?
I need
Yes!
your help again.
It's working.
I want you to go with Irileth and help her fight
Oh
this
dear.
dragon.
It's not working the way I hoped.
Survived Helgen, so you have more experience with dragons than anyone else here. But I haven't forgotten the service you did for me in retrieving the Dragonstone for far.
Good, that was like 30 seconds ago.
As a token of my esteem,
His brother just walked by. Okay.
that you are now permitted to purchase property in the city. And please, accept this gift from my personal armory.
You should come along. I would very much like to see
Useless. Actually great for a warrior character who's doing crafting, because I'm not a warrior and I'm not doing crafting.
I need you here working on ways to defend the city
What are you-
against these dragons.
Yeah, another thing about their cinematics in this game is NPCs just kind of wander through the scene, and it's very silly.
This isn't a death or glory mission. I need to know what we're dealing with.
Like this servant just walking by as I talk about it.
Be a servant of
Wow.
my lords, but don't
Really proving my
think
point
for a
there.
moment I don't take my duties as seriously
Okay.
as
Well,
the
I can't justify a long shopping trip to prepare, but I can justify buying a few books from Farengar to be ready to blast away the dragon.
reach to discuss the
No, what do you-
studies, like the So, you wish to master the arcane arts?
We'll just ignore that nonsense. So, books. Now, everybody in Tamriel should know that if a creature breathes or uses fire, it's weak to ice. That's just kind of a universal law, and the reverse is also true. So I'm going to buy a better ice spell, which doesn't require me to get up close to a dragon. While I'm at it, I'll also buy the equivalent spells for fire and lightning. These are apprentice level spells, so they don't benefit from that novice level perk that I got last time. Other things that could be useful, yeah, Calm will pick up later on. Candlelight's pretty useless, I'll probably not get that yet. Clairvoyance, I do want eventually, but it's not a priority. Same for this thing. That could be. Healing Hands, I don't really have many allies, but I'll get it. Fury, and he sells things that you already have. Muffle is good, that's useful. And slightly better form of Rage Zombie, I'll pick that up. This is as bad as other wards, this is as bad as Oak Flesh. There we go, we're good to go.
You know, if you've got the
Alright,
attitude,
let's go get killed by a dragon. So there goes the Urla. NPCs often get stuck with doors, but usually they figure them out once you go through. Demonstrate the proper technique. Yep, here she is. So night has fallen. Guess we need to hurry down to the main gate to meet the soldiers that she's gotten rid. Nobody in town is really concerned about...
Remains to oblivion. They want to back the Stormcloaks.
What the heck are you talking about? So. Only guards are usually out at night. Yes, indeed. Go ahead and spread it around town. So off we go toward the main gate, where Irleth will arrive at some point. Sometimes she gets here fast, sometimes she gets stuck somewhere along the way. Might have happened this time. Guess we'll see. So here are the 4 guards who are waiting here. They all have different randomized helmets. One's usually dressed like a generic guard. These guys, though, have like a hide helmet. I guess that guy has leather. Typically, one of them or more will actually spawn with a scaled helmet, which has little horns on it. Didn't happen this time. That's notable because a scaled helmet is actually pretty high quality light armor, way above what you would usually find at this level. So if you're a warrior character, make sure that guy dies so you can take his hat.
Attacking the western watchtower.
A dragon? We're in for it.
You heard right.
This speech is also a fairly badly done semi-cinematic. She kind of pauses at weird places, and the guards don't really react to her speech properly. They should probably, move their arms and
That's a fair question.
shout a little bit louder when they're surprised that they're hearing about the dragon and whatnot.
Expected to face one in battle, but we are honor bound to fight it, even if we fail.
It would also be good if some of them had names so you care when they got killed off, which usually 1 or 2 of them will.
Could you call yourselves Nords if you ran from this monster? Are you going to let me face this thing alone?
No,
But it's more than our honor at stake here.
NPC's wandering through.
First dragon seen in Skyrim since the last age.
So she says there's more than honor at stake, and then she's like, there's also glory.
Listen, you're a little too close to her later for me to think it's good speech writing to have them be separate points.
Damn right.
Let's move out.
Alright, so we'll see if they can manage the door this time. Often 1 or more of them get stuck.
Don't try to tempt me into using alchemy.
Here we go. So, the guards usually have different semi-randomized dialogue, some of which is pretty interesting.
I hope the tower holds out until we get there.
I hope the tower holds out until we get there. We'd better keep moving.
I doubt any of us are coming back.
So one semi-interesting line, but the rest are just repeats and whatnot. Usually there's something about how if you go with Irleth, you basically either come back covered in glory or not at all. but didn't get to hear that one to some of the other good ones.
Watchtower before it's too late.
So there's the Western Watchtower. You may have seen it before, so I was coming into Whiterun for the first time. It's not actually off their western frontier, that's many, many miles away, but it's, I guess, the western edge of the area they patrol. They're usually guards stationed out there. So once again, the NPC jogging speed is annoyingly slow. It's way slower than my run. It's way faster than my walk, so I can't just keep pace with them neatly. Oh well. Maybe we're lucky. The tower looks intact. Maybe the dragon left and didn't actually burn it. Nobody saw it attacking it.
And maybe I should wait for backup before going in any closer.
These little glowy things there are torch bugs. They're bugs that you can harvest. It's alchemy ingredient. Yeah, bumped into something that did damage to me. Stubbed my toe, I guess. So, very often, for no good reason, the NPCs will run this way, stop there, get confused for a bit, and then run over to their intended destination over here. But this time they're not doing it. That's a rarity. Sure enough, the tower was attacked. That's bad.
No signs of any dragon right now, but it sure looks like he's been here. I know it looks bad, but we've got to figure out what happened, and if that dragon is still skulking around somewhere. Spread out and look for...
I am not getting killed without tasting sweet, sweet moon sugar one more time. And out of character, I need to have a full mana pool to have a chance of contributing to this dragon fight. So, things are on fire, including corpses on fire. That guy actually has some pretty good valuable gear for a warrior, but he is on fire. So I'm not going to reach my hand onto that flaming corpse to grab gear that is clearly not on it. So, won't be doing that looting. Here's a living guard. Yep, there's the dragon. Well, let me equip my new destruction spells. Oh, I didn't learn. Let me learn my new destruction spells. So these are long range of the set, unlike the nearly melee ones that I had been using. I'm going to get undercover.
So, dragons are almost exactly as dangerous as you would expect on Legendary. He can kill me with one fire breath. So I'd better not get hit with any fire breath.
Good to keep tabs on him.
So the first thing we learned there is that he can do an overhead, swooping strafe kind of fire breath. That doesn't do that much damage. It would be like 90% of my health, but I would probably survive. Probably. But when he stands still to breathe fire all out, that's when he can easily kill you in half a breath. Where is he? Another very important thing to know is that just because he's breathing on somebody else does not mean he will not immediately pivot and blast you instead. He can turn his head 180 degrees in like half a second. The only real chance of survival is just to have cover or to be far away. Dragons can breathe fire any distance, but their long-range version sucks. You can survive it, or dodge it. Close range is lethal though. You gotta have cover or stay far away. Let's see if I have a safe vantage point up on the tower. Nope, he took off. That means I'm dangerously exposed. Down I go again. I can't contribute all that much to this fight at this level. I run out of mana too fast, he does too much damage to me. He's doing a lot of his overhead strafing, yet leaves fire hazards on the ground sometimes. Not that dangerous. Flames aren't always left behind. I'm not really sure what causes them to do so or not do so. Now you may be thinking that for having 5 guards plus, well, 4 guards because this is not really contributing, 4 guards plus Irileth, we're not really doing much damage. That's because I haven't really told you the full story about Legendary difficulty yet. What I've told you is I take triple damage and enemies take 1/4. That's true. But it's not really that I do 1/4 damage, it's that all NPCs take 1/4 damage from all sources all the time, even each other. So the NPCs on my side, the guards take 1/4 damage from the dragon, and they also deal 1/4 damage to the dragon. So you probably noticed the fire breath was cut off short that time. Any kind of stagger effect like a shield bash completely stops their breath attack. He's flying very slowly because I hit him with an ice spell, which sometimes but not always slows enemies. For enemies, the cold slow effect always works, so just another reason that they're always very weak in player hands, very dangerous in enemy ones. Anyway, the upshot of all that stuff is basically that we do very little damage to the dragon, so this fight takes a long time to kill him. Way longer than it takes on Adept, where all the guards are doing quadruple damage to the guy, even if they also die 4 times as fast themselves. Uh-oh, he's hovering there and could blast me. I'll always be thinking about cover when fighting dragons, and never move somewhere far away from it. Ugh. As worthless as ice spells are, for purposes of this fight, I guess I'll hotkey the darn thing.
There he is, he's landing.
It doesn't matter if I hit him in the tail, Skyrim doesn't really have different body area detection, so any part of the body does equal damage. Well, we've got him down to about 1/2 or so. Now when he hits 1/3, it becomes injured and permanently grounded. Once he's on the ground, the rest of the fight goes very quickly, because at that point everybody can close in around him and just do melee damage without him flying away. A player shouldn't be tricked into getting that close though. Dragons are weak at range, lethal in melee, so just never close to melee with them. Why would you do so? By the way, although you can see he flies much faster than I can run, you can still usually outrun a dragon because they often get distracted or just fly in silly circles. Alright, I'm keeping an eye on him, but I'm comfortable moving into the open at this point. He's landing somewhere else, good. So I'll come around here and take a shot at him. Some terrain in the way. Almost got him grounded. These spells just cost me way too much mana. Partly because I'm a Breton, not an Altmer, so I just have less magic than I'm used to. I'm also under-equipped, and again, these are apprentice spells, not novice spells, so I don't get half cost from that perk that I got before.
Alright, he's about to crash land soon, I think, if that wasn't it.
So if he's on the wing when he goes down to 1/3 HP, he'll crash land and leave like a crater or like a trench that his body will dig up. Doesn't really have any game impact, but it's kinda neat. There we go, now he's at 1/3.
So now he can't get up again. So now I can, stay fairly freely out.
And if he turns to breathe at me, he'll have to do his long-range version, which is slower and easier to dodge. As you can see, he's just not that fast on the ground. You can simply outrun him. So, let me talk a little bit about his name right now. We'll learn later on in the campaign that pretty much all dragon names have meanings, of course. I don't think it's an accident, though, that so many of the named dragons' names end in "nir." Perhaps the most famous dragon in Scandinavian mythology was, of course, Fafnir, a similar name. I can't prove that that's why they decided to have like 3 different dragon names end in "nir" just like that, but it seems plausible. Fafnir, of course, was popularized by Richard Wagner's Ring Saga, but that was based on the much older Volsunga Saga, among other things. Smaug from The Hobbit was also fairly clearly influenced by Wagner's version of Fafnir too. His boastful speech about how powerful he is parallels Fafnir's almost line for line. Alright, he's almost dead. I'm going to save up some mana to try to get the kill myself. I'll close in a little bit. Irileth, by the way, was one who was just shooting the lightning. I forgot to actually say that. Here goes. Yes! Totally my kill. Sweet. Oh, what's happening? Is he gonna blow up? Hjalti Montrose is not getting taken out by an exploding dragon. Getting cover. Doesn't feel like an explosion. Well, that felt weird. They're running back. Maybe it's safe. You know, I'm still not sure why they turn into skeletons. I'm not sure that part is ever explained.
Loot this body here quickly. So it ate some guards, it's got the guy's armor. All the arrows that shot into it. And all dragons carry a randomized number of dragon bones and dragon scales. I don't think it's simply 1d3, although there's always a number between 1 and 3, simply because 3 is by far the most common result. So it seems to be biased toward 3, but it can be as low as 1 or 2. This stuff is very good later on in the game for crafting the ultimate weapons if you're doing crafting, but for now, and for me, all the time, it's just good for selling. Are we going to start our conversation now? There we go.
Believe it.
Oh, this guy's a scaled helmet. Okay.
Dragonborn.
Now, of course, I know what the Dragonborn is. Everybody should know the Emperors used to be
The
Dragonborn.
very oldest tales, back from when there was
Nobody but the Emperors is known to be Dragonborn,
Dragonborn
though.
would slay dragons and steal their power. That's what you did, isn't it? Absorb the dragon's power.
No harm in a little bit of boasting.
Find out. Try to shout. According to the old legends, only the Dragonborn can shout without training, the way the dragons do.
Dragonborn? What are you talking about?
That's right. My grandfather used to tell stories about the Dragonborn. Those born with the dragon blood in them. Like Old Tiber Septim himself.
I've never heard of Tiber Septim killing any dragons.
There weren't any dragons then, idiot. They're just coming back now for the first time in forever. But the
Me,
old
like Tiber Septim?
Dragonborn
Now that's an
steal
interesting
dragons
thought.
and steal their power. You must be one.
What do you say, Irleth? You're being awfully quiet. Come on, Irleth. Tell us. Do you believe in this Dragonborn business?
Some of you would be better off keeping quiet than flapping your gums on matters you don't know anything about. Here's a dead dragon, and that's something I definitely understand. Now we know we can kill them, but I don't need some mythical dragon.
Now, let me just point out that the return of the Nerevarine, fulfilling a similar prophecy for the Dark Elves, happened in their living memory, so she's being kinda silly to disbelieve this prophecy.
Unreal. I've seen plenty of things just as outlandish as this. I'd advise you all to trust in the strength of your sword arm over tales and legends.
If you really are Dragonborn, like out of the old tales, you ought to be able to shout. Can you? Have you tried?
Well, let's see.
So, I'm sure all of you, even people who haven't played Skyrim, know that shouting is in the game. This is the point where it's unlocked. I learned this word before in Bleak Falls Barrow. Now I have a dragon soul to use it. Learned and favorited, because I'll be using that one all game long.
There we go. And let me try it out not on these armed men.
This moment is a game changer, both in and out of character, and they could have handled it much better. We don't need this pointless naysayer Irleth here, and we also should have demonstrated our power in a more dramatic kind of way, like accomplish something with it. Maybe kill an enemy, maybe push rubble out of the way to save some guy who's trapped. Could be anything. I just feel like they really wasted this big dramatic moment here with a very slow, dull kind of conversation that stretches on for too long. I also think they went fundamentally wrong by having you get shouting by killing dragons rather than the reverse. I'll go more into that later.
Better get back to Whiterun right away. Jarl will want to know what happened.
Alright, so I'm going to start running back there to boast about slaying the dragon.
To discuss another of this game's literary or movie references, I think the look of Whiterun on its hill above the steps there is supposed to be reminiscent of Edoras from The Lord of the Rings. Very similar looks and landscapes and quasi-Viking people, and they both even have horses as their emblem, which makes more sense in Rohan's case. So I've mentioned that monastery up there, High Hrothgar, which is about to be important. This is itself another literary reference that I'll talk more about later on, but I'm not bringing it up for no reason right now. Any second now... Yeah, this is taking a little bit longer than I thought this time. Ah, there we go, okay. So, they just shouted Dovahkiin, which Hjalti will find out the meaning of later, I suppose. He certainly knows that's the Greybeards who just shouted, partly because, of course, they're like the most famous people in Tamriel to a half-Nord, but also because what they're famous for is their unique ability to shout across the entire continent. There have been books talking about the Greybeards and shouting as long as there have been books in the Elder Scrolls, and I had been waiting for a long time to finally get to meet them. And you know, besides the crumbling walls, they also have a drawbridge around here, which they don't really, ever use intelligently. Unless I misremember, you can be tasked with defending that drawbridge, and they'll just leave the thing down instead of closing it.
Alright.
By Izmir, you did it!
Somehow the news preceded me. That's Wuthrad, the Axe of Ysgramor. It's the ultimate reward from the Companion's Warrior questline. As you might expect, it sucks. No, this conversation isn't glitching. Oftentimes when we come back from killing the dragon, these two guys are here talking to nobody. And they get kicked out of the city by nobody.
I don't care what you're doing. After what happened, you're lucky.
I think the drawbridge is pulled up during the attack because I tried to cross it without actually looking and ended up falling.
You may be right, although that might only be for the Stormcloak side. But perhaps I just misremember. It has been a long time since they did that quest line.
That is quite possible. I don't remember what side I was on. I just know I was
There's
running.
been talk amongst the gods that you are Dragonborn.
Again, I don't know how the news got here first. Hjalti is glad the word is spreading. Free publicity is much appreciated.
Well, here's a statue of Tiber Septim, Talos. Hjalti, of course, has always worshipped the 9 divines, but
Talos in particular has just taken on a new importance, though.
And I have no idea what he's slaying there. If that's supposed to be some kind of dragon or other monster, I can't think of any kind of story from killing things that aren't humans. So, whatever.
All his statues look like that, though. It reminds me, actually, of a lot of ancient Greek art of some of their hero gods like Cadmus slaying dragons that look like that. Several others of those heroes were often depicted, triumphant over snakes or dragons, things like that. Strikes me as a possible but very tenuous illusion. Maybe there's just some in-universe explanation that I'm not aware of yet.
Good. You're finally here. The Jarl's been waiting for you.
You heard the summons.
There's Balgriff's useless brother.
The Greybeards.
We were just talking about you. My brother needs a word with you.
So what happened at the watchtower? Was the dragon there?
I wish there were more options here, because none of them really fit Hjalti perfectly. I killed the dragon, yes, but just directly saying I deserve a reward, that's kind of beneath his political savvy.
Dragonborn. What do you know about the Dragonborn?
He sounded a little bit hostile. Let me back off from that.
Not just the men. The Greybeards seem to think the same thing.
Well, I certainly know who they are. I'm glad they don't force you to be an ignorant fool in that particular conversation.
Voice. The ability to focus your vital essence into a doom or shout. The Greybeards are masters of the way of the voice. If you really are Dragonborn, they can teach you how to use your gift.
Didn't you hear the thundering sound as you returned to Whiterun? That was the voice of the Greybeards, summoning you to High Hrothgar. This hasn't happened in centuries, at least. Not since Tiber Septim himself.
Tiber Septim again.
He was still Talos of Atmora.
Rungar, calm yourself.
And once again, Proventus' entire role at court and in the game is to be aggressively wrong about everything, all the time. I don't know why they keep him around. He's totally incompetent at everything we see him doing.
No nonsense. Why, you puffed up ignorant. These are our sacred traditions that go back to the founding of the First Empire.
I don't know if they mean like the First Cyrodiilic Empire or the First Empire of the Nords. Either way, First Era stuff.
I meant no disrespect, of course. It's just that, what do these Greybeards want with him?
That's the Greybeards' business, not ours. Whatever happened when you killed that dragon, it revealed something in you, and the Greybeards heard it. If they think you're Dragonborn, who are we to argue? You'd better get up to High Hrothgar immediately. There's no refusing the summons of the Greybeards. It's a tremendous...
Yeah, I'm certainly not going to hesitate to go meet the most famous and revered people in Tamriel. So this bit of dialogue is great, but it's badly misplaced. It's a cool part of his background, his relationship with Ulfric and so forth. But he just kind of wedges into the middle of this conversation here when it should clearly be at the end, the way he trails off and so forth. That misplacement will necessitate another weird subject change in another line or two here.
Notice what's going on down here. They haven't seemed to care before. No matter. Go to High Hrothgar. Learn what the Greybeards can teach you. You've done a great
See?
service
Abrupt
for
change.
my city.
Should have talked about this stuff first and then trailed off about the Greybeards.
I name you Thane of Whiterun. It's the greatest honor that's within my power to grant.
Yes.
I assign you Lydia as a personal housecarl, and this weapon from my armory to serve as your badge of office.
So random weapon now, random armor before.
My guards of your new title. Wouldn't want them to think you're part of the common rabble, now would we?
Certainly not.
We are honored to have you as Thane of our city, Dragonborn.
Just according to plan.
Well, that's the last of way too many verbose conversations and slipshod semi-cinematics. We'll get back to Skyrim's strengths after Hjalti gets some sleep. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great day.